Something has happened to you in this very moment. You feel the weight of a correspondence that hasn't yet touched your doorstep, but has already landed fully inside your chest. A spiritual letter arrived before the physical one, and the event has broken the timeline, causing what should have occurred in a distant future to present itself now with the clarity of someone removing a blindfold. You are not reading a headline by chance. You are answering a summons that shatters the clock's barrier. By the end of this message, you will recognize the quiet signs that have been sent into your life over the last few weeks, signs you tried to ignore, but that your soul has already recorded. You will understand the pattern of exhaustion that has kept your energy trapped in a cycle of effort with no return. And I will reveal the only posture you need to adopt so that the delivery of this content becomes real in your physical life. And before we finish, I will make a declaration directly about who you are, and I deeply believe that this is the only reason we are connected in this instant. You have been living days of a nameless restlessness. It's as if you are waiting for something, but you can't tell if that waiting is a relief or an ache. You wake up and feel that the air around you is different, denser, as if a message is ready to be read, but you are still searching for the envelope. Conversations that once flowed naturally now sound hollow, as if the speakers are talking from a shore you have already left. You look at the clock, and it seems to repeat sequences that whisper that your time of preparation is over. You've been feeling these signs but didn't know how to name them. The tiredness you feel is not physical. It's the wear of someone trying to keep the door shut when the wind of destiny has already decided to open it. If even one of these signs touched you, if your shoulders dropped at any point in the last few minutes, type the number 888 in the comments. Your fingers typing those numbers are your spirit saying yes to the confirmation you have been seeking. It's the smallest agreement, but it's real. The 888 is the frequency of overflow, the mark that the provision is already on its way. Type 888 and come back here to me. These signs are your calibration. Attention!
There is a truth sealed by God for millennia, hidden until the end of times. It's no coincidence you are here. The signs are everywhere, and few are ready for this revelation. If you've ever felt that restlessness, that there's something deeper in the scriptures, this book is your key. But know this is the time. And the vault of the chosen reveals what God sealed for you. Within it, the 7 seals unveil the truth about being a chosen one and the eternal impact of this revelation. And the proof is here. Look how many minds are freed. Yours could be next. Secure your access now. Click the link in the comments or description and unveil these truths.
Process. The distance you feel from old places and old ways of thinking is not isolation. It's alignment. You are being prepared for what the letter contains because your spirit needed to be emptied of everything that was only noise. What you call loneliness is actually an inner courtyard you have never seen but have always belonged to. It's a space of silence, where the voice you have been seeking outside finally finds resonance within. You have been operating under a survival logic, believing you needed to pull ropes that are no longer attached to anything. Your dedication has been seen. Your faithfulness to invisible processes has been noted. And now the layer that holds all of this begins to be revealed, because what was buried in your inner courtyard is ready to bloom. While you breathe and let this truth settle, understand that your search for external answers has ended, because the source is the same one that generated your calling. Sit with that for a moment. Let that quiet expand inside your chest. The waiting you live is not a punishment, it's a polishing. You've been feeling a strange disconnection, as if conversations that once made sense now sound like echoes from a radio out of tune. Don't try to fix that strangeness. What you feel is not social distance, it's vibrational distance. You are leaving the orbit of the ordinary to enter the orbit of purpose. Those who don't understand your new frequency are not enemies. They are simply people who haven't yet been invited into your new cycle. When the letter arrives, it brings not just information, but the authority of someone who no longer needs to ask permission to be who they are. You spent years trying to be the answer to everyone else's questions, draining your energy reserves for audiences that were never really paying attention to your essence. That pattern of self-exhaustion is your mark of an effort that is no longer necessary. You operated at the edge of fatigue, believing your faithfulness was measured by how much load you could carry on your back, never realizing that what you sought outside was always stored in your inner courtyard. Imagine that place now. Your inner courtyard is not a construction of stone or bricks. It's a field of silence you have visited only a few times, in those moments of deep exhaustion when you gave up fighting. There, roots are deep and light is constant. All your life, you have walked through that courtyard without recognizing it as your true home, always running outside for approval, while what you needed to sustain your journey was right there under your feet. The pattern of wearing yourself out to be seen is armor that has become too small. You no longer need to fight for recognition, because the letter that arrives brings the confirmation that you have been seen even before you asked. If something inside you just aligned, if the image I showed you of that inner courtyard fell into a place you can't explain, type the words, "I see," in the comments. Let the recognition seal where it has just landed. The act of typing those words makes the witness permanent in your own record. Type it and come back here to me. Take a deep breath and notice how this clarity begins to replace the anxiety you carried. You are no longer in the dark. You are simply being guided to the next layer of your own story, where revelation is not a concept, but a presence you can now feel beside you. Sit with that, because the transition requires you to release the control you still insist on holding over your tomorrow. There is a silent movement that precedes the event, a correspondence that travels through invisible paths before it touches your doorstep. You felt the change in the air, didn't you? It's as if time has stretched its edges, preparing a space for something you, deep down, already knew would come. This message is the letter that breaks the silence. It is no coincidence. It is the confirmation that what you have been sustaining with so much patience has not gone unnoticed. You have been asking yourself about the reason for certain waits, about why doors seem locked while your effort is constant. By the end, you will recognize the signs that have marked your routine and understand they are not noise, but coordinates. You will decipher the pattern that, until now, kept you operating in a cycle of unnecessary wear. And before this moment fades, I will give you a key of interpretation that will change the way you walk, because your readiness is the only thing separating doubt from revelation. You've noticed the clock seems to have a will of its own. Waking up at the same instant, feeling the weight of conversations that have lost meaning, finding numbers that repeat as if trying to warn you of something. It's not coincidence. It's your system being recalibrated. You have felt, many times, like someone carrying a burden no one else can see. It's a tiredness that doesn't rest in the body but in the soul. And if even one of these signs touched you, if your shoulders dropped at some point, if your breathing changed as I named what you live in secret, type the number 888 in the comments. It's the smallest agreement, but it's the most real. This state of waiting, which you have often interpreted as a delay, is actually a period of polishing. You are being prepared for what you asked for, and the distance you feel from old cycles and old people is not loneliness. It's alignment. You have stopped speaking the language of those who don't understand your frequency, and that's okay. The pattern you repeated, that of trying to prove your value through exhausting effort, is crumbling. You stopped pulling ropes, no longer tied to anything. You understood, even without wanting to, that your place is not where you need to explain yourself, but where your presence is understood as a fact. It's as if, for years, you have been tending an inner courtyard, watering roots in a place no one ever saw, keeping order in a secret garden while the outside world demanded a facade you no longer had the energy to maintain. That courtyard, with its ancient stones and its own light, is your truth. It's the only place where you can finally take off your shoes and walk without the armor of survival. If that image of the inner courtyard resonated, if you felt that there is finally solid ground where you can rest after so much marching, type the words "I see" in the comments. Let the recognition seal where the truth has just landed. Type it and come back here to me. Thank now with a simple gesture. If something in this message confirmed what your spirit already knew, let your like be your amen, without words. Not as a metric, nor as a numbers game, but as an agreement that what was named here was named correctly. You are, at this moment, part of a recognition that crosses barriers, and within this clarity you realize that your life has been a process of returning to yourself. There is nothing to build, only to unlearn. What was imposed on you as duty was actually just external noise, trying to drown out your voice. You no longer need applause from those who don't understand your path. The letter has arrived, the confirmation has been sealed. And as you accept this new posture, the world around you begins to organize itself, to respond to your new state of being. You no longer search for crumbs of attention. You walk in the solidity of what is already yours by birthright. There is someone in your life who needs this exact message right now. Someone you can clearly visualize at this moment, whose face came to your mind when I mentioned doors seemed locked from the inside. Think of that person, someone who has been silently striving, carrying a weight no one around can see, someone who maintains a posture of strength while inside searching for a sign that the path will finally make sense. Send this message to that person. Don't do it as if sending a casual recommendation, but as someone delivering a letter that has finally found its destination. Your sharing is the messenger confirming that their silence has not gone unnoticed. Breathe deeply with me. Let that intention of care settle in your chest, preparing the ground for the last revelation I have brought for you. Before we reach the end of this encounter, I need you to make the final movement of affirmation. Type the words, "I am the chosen one," in the comments. Not as a request for validation, nor as a distant hope. Type it as someone signing a document already written by destiny. The authority you emanate by writing those words is the definitive mark of someone who has stopped asking permission to live their own truth. Let your fingers do what your spirit has already understood. The letter has arrived, the content has been read, and the calling has been accepted. Something happened to you in this instant, a subtle movement most people ignore, but you felt it as a change in air pressure. You have the distinct feeling that a correspondence, not of paper and ink, but of frequency and destiny, has just been delivered to your consciousness. The title you read was no coincidence. It was a sign that something you have waited years for has finally found its address. You carry a silent question, a restlessness no one around you could name, and now you are about to hear the answer. By the end of this moment, you will recognize the nature of the sign that has been appearing in your life and understand why the waiting, which seemed like a punishment, was actually a refinement. You will identify the layer beneath your routine, the pattern that blocked your flow, and above all, receive the confirmation of your own identity that was written for you before this instant. Stay with me, because what comes now is the layer beneath the layer. You have noticed signs that defy logic. They are lapses in the clock, conversations that lose meaning against what you feel inside, or the perception that your surroundings have become too noisy while your inner world demands silence. It's the smallest agreement, but it's real. What you call tiredness is actually your system detaching from ropes no longer tied to anything. You spent years pulling the weight of expectations that weren't yours, trying to maintain a structure that had already lost its foundation. When you feel that urge to retreat, it's not isolation, it's your spirit coming home. You were operating with the right hunger, but on the wrong route, trying to sustain an audience that was never really paying attention. Now, imagine an inner courtyard. It is a wide, silent space you always knew existed, but never had the courage to fully inhabit. It is your place of truth, where external voices lose their authority. You spent your whole life leaving the windows open for the wind of others' opinions to mess up what was arranged there. But today, the letter that arrived brings the key to close the door of that courtyard. Not to hide, but to protect what is genuinely yours. If something inside you just sealed, if the image of that inner courtyard fell into a place you can't explain, type the words I see in the comments. Let the recognition fix where it has just landed. Type it and come back here to me. Not as a metric, but as a deep agreement that what was named here was named correctly and resonates with your journey. There is someone in your life who needs this exact message now. Someone who has been striving more than everyone around and still sees the door closed. Someone who walks quietly in a way no one around can explain, and whose face just appeared in your mind as I spoke. Send this to that person, not as a recommendation, but as a delivery, a notice that they have not been forgotten by the flow of life. The letter you feel has arrived is not paper, nor does it carry postage from an ordinary world. It is a frequency delivery that has found your spiritual address because finally you stopped moving at the speed of anguish. For a long time, you chased answers that were already engraved on the soles of your feet, ignoring that the path is not a search, but an unfolding. The pattern you have repeated, that mechanism of trying to fix the world around you while your own ground gives way, is the root of this exhaustion you call destiny. But what you call destiny, I call an invitation to interruption. When routine breaks, when conversations that once made sense start sounding like white noise, when the silence of the early morning becomes your moment of greatest clarity, it's because the system you inherited is losing its validity. You operated for decades as someone who needs permission to exist, shaping your edges to fit into spaces never designed for your stature. That pattern is crumbling now. You have been feeling this waiting as a refinement, not a rejection. That's why the 888 appears. It's a frequency of overflow, of the provision already en route. If you felt it, type 888. Let that be the smallest agreement, but the most real. And then, when you recognize the inner courtyard, type I see. And finally, as the last movement, type I am the chosen one. Not as a wish, not as hope, but as a confirmation. The agreement forming in silence between the heavens and your hearing is an agreement you will live by for the rest of this season. Type slowly. Let your fingers do what your spirit is already doing. You are now committed to the truth that crosses your story. You are sent to be the beacon that maintains the frequency in times of uncertainty. You are being guided by hands that never let go of the helm of your existence. Right now, around the world, others are receiving this same recognition, awakening to the same reality you have just embraced. You are part of something that does not announce itself with noise, and that is exactly why it is real. Attention!
There is a truth sealed by God for millennia, hidden until the end of times. It's no coincidence you are here. The signs are everywhere, and few are ready for this revelation. If you've ever felt that restlessness, that there's something deeper in the scriptures, this book is your key. But know this is the time. And the Vault of the Chosen reveals what God sealed for you. Within it, the 7 seals unveil the truth about being a chosen one and the eternal impact of this revelation. And the proof is here. Look how many minds are freed. Yours could be next. Secure your access now. Click the link in the comments or description and unveil these truths.